Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond,
where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Charisma. Welcome back. Hi,
Bienvenidos.
Amari.
What's up?
What'd you say?
Bienvenidos.
Oh.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
Sí.
Spanish, Espanol.
Sí.
Okay.
Bonjour.
¿Cómo estás? No? What's up with you? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm like, wait, what? Had a moment. Just brain lapse.
Right.
What are we talking about today, Amari?
Wow, jump right in.
Yes, we're going to jump right in. You said you were good, so we're...
Well, we're talking a little bit about... all right, here we go.
Okay. We know that there is how can we say, a notion that black men are not in the lives of their children, or not in the home with their children. So we're talking about the importance of having a father in the household, so on and so forth. Thoughts? Ideas?
Thoughts, ideas?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great topic. So high five to us for coming up with it.
Right.
No, but we touched on this a little bit. I grew up with my dad in the house, and there were certain things that my dad did for me, having him in the house, and even things that he taught my brother that have carried me in life. You hear a lot of people say things like, a dad is his daughter's first love. That is true. First guy that ever bought me flowers was my dad. He would tell my brother certain things about how to treat ladies and things to do. My brother often fought him when he was younger, which is still hilarious to this day, because he would say, hold the door for your sister. And he would run up through the door first and then close it behind him and then look at me with a death stare.
Exactly.
But, I loved having my dad there and having him, I felt safe. I felt like my protector was, if he wasn't right there with me currently, at that time, he was a phone call away. I never felt like I don't know, it made me feel safe. And my grandfather was around, and him and my grandma were married for 66 years and together for 68. Nice. So, he raised his children in the same household. So that's all I know.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful thing. What about you? What's your experience?
No, man, my pops, that's my man's, But I mean, he's easily, and the older I get, the more I see. One thing I really appreciate about him is that his lessons weren't, boy, you got to do this. It was sheer example.
Okay.
So that when I find myself in various situations in life, I know how to respond because I've had that model of my father. So I think that's definitely a crucial and important thing. My concern with the issue is often how it's framed.
Yeah.
So there's the idea of them being in the home, right? Broken families, children out of wedlock. There's that. There's also the idea of being in their child's life, right? So there's several studies over the past few years that say black men are actually more active in their children's lives than any other racial group.
Yeah,
right? So
that's not how it's framed at all.
And that's what I'm saying. So I don't want it to be like, oh, well, the fathers, they leave their kids and they're irresponsible, right? We've seen that narrative even all the way up to the President Obama. You got to take care of your kids and so on and so on. So, but so that's a common notion that a lot of us have. But I remember, I have a lot of memories and I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Yes.
So before I jump the gun and get into my own views on the situation, I think it would be a good opportunity to bring out our guest today, who's Zachary Hogan.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about this topic and much more when we come back on 28 Days and Beyond. Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond, and we're joined now by Zachary Hogan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being
great
here.
To be here.
Yeah.
Awesome. So today we're talking about the importance of a father and the presence of a father in a home. What have been some of your personal experiences with regards to that?
Yeah, well, I actually grew up as part of a single parent household. So I have a single mom who I live with. And I really want to just credit my parents, first of all, for bringing me into this world. My parents were dating for quite some time. And then one day during their dating experiences, found out that they were going to have a new package on the way in about 9 months.
Oh, okay. So they didn't have Amazon Prime back then. So
no,
2 days right now.
They didn't get that email notification. It looked a little different.
Expedited packages.
But I really think I have to give just the initial credit to them, because I wouldn't be here unless they had gone into making a decision to bring me into this world with a bunch of maturity and a bunch of just life and vigor and passion for seeing what, part of them could be, metamorphosized into the 21st century.
There it is.
So I really think that I do owe them that credit for just giving me the opportunity to have this life and to bring what change I can with it. So
What were some of the experiences that you had with your dad growing up?
Yeah. So my parents, ethnically, how they make up, my father is Black, African American, and my mother is white, Irish. And it was really interesting since my parents didn't stay together, obviously, and are separated. I grew up in split custody. So I would spend some time with my dad in a Black cultural setting, growing up that way. And then I would also spend time with my mom in a white setting and learn those values in different ways and grow up that way. So I think there was a real interesting development in my identity, very multiplicative, very versatile, and honestly very fluid, trying to think about how I learned the values in one setting. How do I learn them in another setting? Where are they the same? Where are they different? What experiences do I have with this one family in this one setting? And how does that apply in my family in this context? And I think that was really important for me developing and growing as a person and an individual to understand that how you frame yourself culturally plays so much not only into your perception of the world, but also your understanding of it. That's why I really think it's important to view the world with multiple ways of seeing it, keeping yourself open-minded in order to learn the best from it. And I have really just, the makeup of my parents to thank for that.
So, at the beginning of the show, we were kind of talking about there's the perception that, Black fathers are not present in the lives of their children. Even, them not being present in the home means they're not present at all. That clearly has not been your experience. But where do you think that perception comes from?
Yeah, I think, there's just a lot of stigmas that are made, honestly from places of ignorance, right? I think that's kind of how we just kind of see stereotypes, obviously media, plays a lot into just the spreading of these just general surface level understandings of cultures. So what I think is when we see like maybe, if you read into a lot of the developments of Black neighborhoods, particularly in the United States, that there was obviously over policing, a lot of, just general criminalizing of the neighborhood by an authority or a higher power at the time. And so some of those powers, led into breaking up homes and family structures very intentional. And I think a lot of that was, not the fault of those families or those structures. I mean, we're up against such huge social forces and influences in the United States. The civil rights movement, wasn't for nothing. It was it's for the fact that we were, raising up against oppression in a lot of ways. And so what I think is, people who just heard about the struggles of these homes that were broken just thought, oh, they have no understanding of the inner workings of it. So what they just say is, oh, they're being lazy, or, they don't want to commit to their family, And I think a lot of those stereotypes just continued on into the modern era because, structurally we have a lot to do yet to be able to fix those neighborhoods and be able to make sure homes don't break apart. There are the right social supports. So, some could say that cycle continues, but, it's more a matter of the fact that persists as a result that there's still a lot of social support that we need to do in those neighborhoods and those environments to keep those homes together.
Well, you've made a really good point, but we have to take a little bit of a break.
Cool.
But we'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this. Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. We're still here with Zach. So, one of the things that we were talking about in the beginning and, throughout the last segment was just the importance of fathers being present in their children's life, whether they're in the home or whether they're not in the home, but they're still, an active, they're taking an active role. What do you think for people that perhaps don't have a father figure in the house and don't have a father figure that's actively a part of their life? What do you think is the importance of having other role models that are around that are able to help shape you?
Absolutely. I think, something that my mom took on, at least as part of what she thought was important with parenting, was for me to have a male confidant, at some point. And so luckily, my mom has a very good working relationship with her boss, somebody who, knew that she was going to be a single mom and afforded her a lot of flexibility, and now my mom's a lawyer. So trying to find flexibility in a profession with a lot of court meetings and client calls and just a whole busy schedule in and of itself, outside of being a sole parent and a responsibility for a child, that's a lot of responsibility on one person's plate. But knowing that my mom could lean on her boss, for that flexibility at work to be able to support me, as a child grew a lot of confidence for her to be able to ask him to step into my life and talk to me about things that, you know, I might be struggling with, you know, learning to be a man and growing into those manly responsibilities. And I don't think that's to say that women or moms can't play the two-parent role in a lot of ways, pick up a lot of things that a father would provide in the household. But knowing that there are things that, you know, a boy transitioning through life into manhood experiences, you know, on his own, and often feels that could only be pretty much set in confidence with someone of the same gender, you know, or someone at least who has gone through those same experiences in life growing up, I think is so critical to the development of one's maturity. So
now you said, so was it just him, or were you able to have a sort of community of support?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a variety of people that my mom introduced me to, ways that she saw that I could be fathered in one context by one person, and the responsibility that could be bestowed upon me by that one person, and then someone else. So for example, my mom's boss is white, but a good family friend that she had growing up, his name's Robin, he's black. He's a single black man. And so, you know, speaking with him, you know, I got to learn a lot of things about, you know, some of the black culture that I wasn't getting in my home where I lived with my mom. I was able to talk with him about, like, growing up. So, you know, just even going around shooting hoops or anything like that. Or he'd tell me stories about when he trained. I'm from Easton, Pennsylvania, which is home to Larry Holmes. You may have heard of him, very famous boxer. And my mom used to jump rope with him growing up.
Nice.
But Robin would also go to his gym and talk to them very much, and, you know, really talk to me about the importance of, you know, black icons, you know, in sports, and really got me, you know, hooked on sports in a way that I could see leadership, you know, in black men doing that. And knowing myself being a black man in a lot of ways was so important to be able to see that I had those icons in my life. But that was something that was introduced to me from a father figure, you know, in that way, who wasn't my own father. So, you know, very important to me.
What do you think the biggest lesson, just being a male and having these positive male figures around you, that you walked away from, that you took with you into your adult life, and that you're now sharing with other young people?
I think that, point blankly, I think all men are called to be a father. That's kind of what I've learned about in this. And that doesn't mean you need to father your own children, or, you know, if you're unfortunate to not have the capacity to do that, to go out and adopt children to raise. It's just a matter of being a part of a community, a father figure in a community, I really think is quintessentially what it comes down to. There are many children out there who come from these broken homes, or just come from unfortunate circumstances, who just with a little bit of guidance and a little bit of direction, or just a familiar face to be able to provide confidence in, I think can make a world of difference. You know, it's all about the small actions in life, and we could all take that on as men, you know, to make those differences in our community, just to be a lending ear for one child in need. I think we can all move forward very, very, very well as a society.
That's a really good point.
Yes, it is.
Zach, we want to thank you for joining us on 28 Days and Beyond. I mean, this has been great.
Great. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
We'll be back with more after this.
Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. That was a great segment. You're such a goofball.
Me?
Yes, you.
So one of the things that I was thinking about was several years ago, I was living in South Philadelphia.
South Philly.
Exactly. And I would drive, you know, to go to work in the morning. And then one day it dawned on me that every morning I was seeing men walking their children to the bus stop, right? Only men.
That's amazing.
And it made me think, like, yo, they wilding. They're lying to us, and they're forcing us to believe, you know,
this
these
narrative that's not true.
And it's like, we're very active, we're very present. And I think, you know, the conversation with Zachary was, even if just because you're not in the household doesn't mean you're not present. And it doesn't mean that you don't care.
And those are actually some of my fondest memories from when I was a kid. My dad taking me to school.
Word.
Because I actually went to school in South Philly, like way out by like Chicky and Pete's, like down that way. And I lived in North Philadelphia at the time, so it was like a long commute. You know, it was a long commute. But there were days, you know, coming up where it wasn't a lot of money, and my dad would like make sure that I had a token so that we could catch the bus together, even if it meant he had to walk, you know, to work, and then he would walk to get me as long as he had another token for us to get home.
That's crazy, yeah.
So like all those things, and we go to the candy store, which I got in trouble for because I got a bunch of cavities, and my mom was furious. But that's, you know,
so you go to the candy store every day.
Not every day, but pretty
cavities.
frequently.
Come on, those would love cavities.
Dad be like, "Hey, you want to go to the candy store?" And I'd be like,
yep.
"Yay, sugar!"
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
But you know, just fond memories like that of going to school and us talking and us, you know, talking about my day after, you know, school was over. All those things. And speaking of school, did you see? There was a clip recently where there was a call for black men to come, or for men, not just black men, I don't think, to come to the school. They said they needed more father figures at this particular school for an event that was happening, and the call was for like 20 to 30 men, and it ended up being like 700 guys that came to volunteer. And you could see like they interviewed a bunch of the students, and the kids were like crying.
Yeah.
My eyes got a little moist.
A little bit, not too much though.
Yeah, no, because I'm a thug, and thugs don't cry.
Thugs don't cry. They're allowed one tier.
Yes, one tier.
One of the things that Zachary said I thought was a great point is that all men, you know, have the capacity to father, even if it doesn't mean biologically, and that seems to be an example of that, is to be present in the lives of the children around you. That, I mean, I think that's a wonderful point, and it's absolutely true.
Yeah, love our men.
I got to.
Yeah. So just love, be present.
Yep.
Be available, be a listening ear.
Yeah.
All of those things.
All those things.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond,
where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.